Da-da-da. All right. Oh, let's see. Okay. So I am going to. All right. I think. Can you guys see me now? Can you guys see me now? Hello, hello, hello. Is everybody there? It's all good. Everybody can see now. Okay, good, good, good. All right. Hey guys, sorry about that. It's funny. I thought maybe I could use the second screen, and when I use the second screen, it just it doesn't put that video through very well. So what's going on, guys? Well, I don't want to delay too much, but basically, hopefully you guys can see the screen because I'm going to be sharing uh, as well. And so, hold on one second. All right. Okay, looking good and audio is good. All right, that's good. All right, so basically just kind of recapping, right? We're so far the month is bullish. We've reclaimed over 50% of the range and of the prior month. As we go into what's so far a very very choppy week, the range so far is less than 10 points, which makes today one of the choppiest ranges in a very very long time, right? And so we've been kind of chopping forward, and hopefully looking for some action after the Fed minutes on Wednesday. So but it doesn't mean it will, right? We've seen some Fed minutes where it just kind of chops around after it too. Maybe it takes a day even after that to move. We've got quadruple witching this week, which could be some more kind of shenanigans and stuff. So, but real quick, let's look at the price action today, which was really really challenging to trade. We had an open this morning. This was the craziest bar I've seen at the open in months. It was a green doji right on the first 5-minute candle, with really big upper shadows and lower shadows, which made it really tough to establish any type of direction at the open. We looked like maybe we would fill the gap from the prior day's close, and it didn't quite get to it, which left that as a magnet point for the rest of the day. Here's one shorting opportunity that didn't quite get any follow through, which and then we finally broke out through the prior day's highs. But your next level, and all these levels, of course, are provided to newsletter subscribers in the private Twitter stream. And so couldn't quite get to the R2 level, and then basically came off of that, right? So, but what was really tough is that normally you get a big bar like this, and it basically tells you, hey, this is this move, right? This green bar, this price action to the upside, is invalidated, and we're looking at changing trend here, and then you get this big green bar that comes right after it. So okay, it looks like we're going to go long and maybe head up to the R2 level, and then you get this big red bar. And so it was like this all day. I mean, here, very, very difficult. You had this big, red bar, and then finally, essentially a bear flag right here, and then finally it's this was really projected saying, we're starting to go down. They gave another bear flag quickly, and then gave a push here, right? But then it came off of it quickly and gave you a hammer, and then finally pushed down into the close. So really, really challenging price action on a really choppy day. So we look at kind of the big picture here. We're basically coming up into an Andrews reaction line, and kind of coiling through that. So we'll see where this pushes us. After the Fed. One thing I am noticing here, though, on the daily, kind of stochastic levels, we're at this overbought level here on the stochastic. I'm not saying that's necessarily going to push it down. We can stay overbought for a while, just like in this range here. But it kind of makes you think like, hey, maybe it's going to push down. So just something to think about, kind of going forward there. So, and that's where we use, various types of swing trading techniques, and which is why I am really excited and happy to have a master swing trader with us tonight to go over his methods. Many of you guys know him from Twitter as Techie Investor. It's Trader Amog, and he is here with us tonight to go through some of his methods, and I think really, really honored to have him here tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce my friend Trader Amog, and he is going to go through some of his methodologies. And if you guys have any questions, we'll go through those at the end. And I think you guys find it will be really, really productive. So here we go. So Trader Amog, how are you?
Hey John, hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for joining. It's great.
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. So can you see my screen?
Yes, I see it. Let me just make sure everybody in the room see his screen? I just want to make sure it's coming through okay.
Okay.
Everybody good? Everybody can see this? Okay, good. Yeah, I'm getting confirmations here that it's coming through. So yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, so just a little introduction. So my name is Amog. I'm a software engineer and I work at a full-time job. I've been swing trading since 2017, and I go by the name Techie Investor on Twitter. I also post my trades on Twitter and journal them and share those stats at the end of every month on my public stream. And as I told, I started in 2017 and I'm fairly new to trading and I'm still learning my ways in the market every day. So when I started, my trading mentor was Trader Stevie, and he's still my mentor. And you can also find me on Art of Trading community. So John, for today's session, what I'll do is I'll first go through my winning trades. As I told, I've been journaling them since past 1 year. So what I'll do is I'll just go through the winning trades and review them and show what patterns worked for me, and explain how I traded them. And then what I'll do is I'll talk about my favorite setups or patterns and not so favorite ones which didn't work for me. And I'll also talk about some of my buy and sell rules. So without further ado, I'll get started with reviewing those trades. I prepared this watch list with all my winning trades since past October. So I'll go through them one by one. John, is this clarity fine? We were having
I
some
think so.
issues.
Yeah, I'm getting good notes in here. As long as everybody sets it to HD, it looks like it's coming through okay, and they're getting good audio too. I'm seeing all that, so I think you're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll get started with the alphabetical order. This is ABMD. This was a trend reversal pattern. I was familiar with the stock, and we used to play them regularly. And it was a Momo stock, so it was on my radar and my focus list. And this was a reversal setup. So I played this for 5% profits. As you can see, it's ABMD was a good trending stock, and then it sold off in I think early Feb, and by early March, after so many days of sell-off, it started to be over sold, and then at this level, it formed a hammer on some pretty good volume. So the reversal setup I play is if it goes above this hammer, I buy this stock, and it's pretty simple. So you can draw a trend line, or you can just play by the candlestick here. So this was a hammer, and to buy a reversal, that hammer has to be confirmed. So when price went above that bar the next day, that was my cue to buy that stock. And this was a normal trend reversal setup. So uh, I sold it on the way up, and it was about the total gains were about 10%, but I profited about 5% on this overall trade. So that was one pattern which I usually trade. Other one is on ACB. This is a 60-minute chart. As ACB moves quickly, so I'm showing the 60-minute chart here. And just to give more clarity, I use 60-minute charts. I use 15-minute charts for entries, and I use daily and weekly charts to see where the a pattern is and where the price might go. So this was ACB on the 60-minute chart, and as you can see, it had a range between 7 and 8.5. And on this day, it gapped up above this range. I usually call it the gap and go setup. I play this especially during earnings. But on this occasion, I don't think it was earnings. It just gapped up above that price. Maybe it was an upgrade or something. So my entry was above this range at the open. Maybe around. Let me just expand this.
Yeah, and
Um,
Amog, I've read your blog. You've got a great blog too, where you go through a lot of your trades. And so your gap and go, you're one of the best I've seen it. Trading the gap and go. And I think like your rules with that, if I remember reading it, is how do you set your stop on that? So let's say you have something that's gapping on some news, like you said, like an upgrade or something like that. Your entry, do you kind of enter right at the open as quickly as you can, and then you put your stop like 10%, or I can't remember.
yeah, gap and goes are an aggressive setup for me, so I try to keep the stops tight. So in this case, it was a 3% or 4% stop. And I'll show that Roku trade which I made for 20% gains. That was also a
Yeah,
gap and go setup, and I'd set my stop 3% below my entry. So
3%, right?
uh, yeah, plan is to aggressively buy this open as soon as it opens. Buy that opening bar and set your stop 3% below your entry. So
Right, right.
that's
That's
how it
great.
goes.
That's really helpful to see, that you post that, because I think gap and goes are some of the hardest psychologically for me to jump into, because I don't know anybody else, but a lot of times, I've tried to jump in at the open and got stopped out. That's why I've, had to change a lot of methodologies that I used to use. So it is nice to see that you have a system for that. So.
Yeah, sometimes they just grab and crap, as you say. So you gotta have your stops and be careful with those setups.
Absolutely.
So in this case, for ACB, it gapped up above this range. So I bought the open. I think I bought at around 875. Yeah, and my stop was set at 850. It was 3% below entry, and it just trended all the way up all day. So I think I took profits in 2 or 3 days on this, and it was a nice winner for me. See if I can pull up that trade. Yeah, I think I netted about 8% on that trade. Um, yeah, so those, if they work, you can really net in good profits. And that's one of my favorite setups. And other one is reversal setup, which I showed in ABMD. So Amazon, as you all know, it was trending down during that market sell-off last year, and this zone usually used to get buyers on Amazon, and they used to push the price up. So this bar was a cue that buyers had stepped in. I didn't get this trade, so I was watching it, and I had my levels there and mapped it all around. And when it dropped to that 1460 level, it just broke through down, and then quickly it was bought back up. So that was my cue to get long. You can usually get long above this bar, 1480, but I was closely watching that action on that day, and I bought that candle, and my stop was below this candle, so it was pretty tight. And as you all know, Amazon moves quickly, so a 40 point stop seemed to be fair on that day, and next day it gapped up, and it just trended all the way up until those 50 or 20 MAs.
So you bought within that bar when you started seeing the bar forming, or you bought like the next day?
Yeah, I used 15-minute charts to spot my entry. So on that day, I had my levels mapped, and when buyers were stepping up on that 15-minute chart, so that was my cue to enter.
Got it. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, that was about a 16% um, a profit. So that was one of my biggest trades since last year.
Yeah, it was a great trade.
Yeah, thanks. And as ACB, I showed that 60-minute chart. This is a daily chart. As you can see, that range breakout clearly mapped here. So you can also see a inverse head and shoulders pattern here.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the keys too. When you see, especially with these gap and go patterns, you want to see it a gap above like a key resistance level, right?
Yeah.
Because people who are still short, right, the stock, I mean, their stops are basically above all those pivots, and when you gap above it, I mean, they pretty much have nothing to do but cover, right? That's why you can get some extra momentum on those.
Yeah, similar to what Roku did. So this was the setup before Roku gapped up on earnings, and it reported on this day after close. And the range was 69 to 68, and plan was to it was, and after us it was in that 70 71 range, and I think it opened at around 70 and came down to 69, and I got filled at around 69 50 or 70.
Mm-hmm.
So I just bought the open aggressively and put my stop below this range, 67 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And this was that 5-minute chart on Roku. It just gapped up and trended all the way up.
Yeah, it was a beautiful trade.
Yeah. And I think I sold it way too quickly.
It happens. Yeah. I know, because it just kept on going and going and going.
Yeah. So after that, I came up with my sell rules, and next time when that happens, I'll make sure that I don't sell it too quickly.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. We learn everything every day. Yes.
So for your sell rules in a situation like that, are you trailing bar by bar, or are you using a certain time frame that you're moving your stops with, or what's kind of the?
Yeah, it's usually the daily chart.
Yeah, so with Roku, basically, you would just go day by day.
Yeah.
Got it.
Let me show that Roku chart. So if I had, according to my sell rules, I should not sell if stock doesn't come below that 9 or 20 EMA. So in this case, I'm using this 9 EMA on this daily chart, and it never broke down below that 9 EMA.
Oh, okay, great.
So I should have never sold it.
I know, it's been such a monster.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Next is one of my other patterns is a flat top breakout or a box breakout. You can usually find these on the relative strength stocks, which are the strongest stocks in that sector, and you should wait for that volume on while it's breaking out. So in this case, it was Coop, and it was breaking out about this 9900 range, which was an important level all through through May. So yeah, that was one of the few setups which I played. And other one is a symmetrical triangle breakout. This is kind of a symmetrical triangle. I usually prefer more price range within this pattern, but in this case, I played this, I think, on a pullback to one of the MAs. So one more setup which I usually play is trend continuation pattern, which happens when a stock is strong, and it usually follows its 20 MA or 50 MA. So how you usually play is you wait for that stock to dip to 20 MA or 50 MA and see if it forms a hammer or something at that level. And and you buy that. You can usually buy at that level if you're aggressive and place the stop below that MA. So in this case, I bought it at 85.60, and my stop would have been below 82.44. Uh, so you buy that, and in this case, it broke out. It was very strong, and I held through the breakout and sold it at that resistance level. So that was some nice gain.
Yeah.
So it was yeah. This had one more setup here in late 2018. This was a falling wedge setup. Usually, you need to the more the price touches these lines, the better the setups are. So in this case, it broke out above the 72 level, but I didn't catch that, and I patiently waited, and it was flagging above its MAs, 20 MA and 50 MA. So I bought that a flag breakout. So there were two patterns here: bullish falling wedge and bull flag breakout.
Very nice. Yeah. Was it? Which one was that? Was that HD or yeah?
That was FT&T. Yeah, Fortinet.
Fortnite. I get Fortnite. Gotcha.
And next one is HD. This was also a trend continuation pattern. So HT trended up all the way in 2019 in up until Feb, and then it found some resistance at this 190 level and pulled back. And it pulled back to its 50 MA and found some support there. And when it was moving above this 50 MA, that was a trend continuation setup for me. And I bought at this level around 184. And this was also a mini cup formation, and it broke. Usually these mini cup formations are not reliable, but in this case, both market was strong and this stock was strong, so it worked in this case. And I sold all the way up here, and I was talking about my sell rule, which I talked about earlier. So in this case, it broke below this 90 MA or 20 MA, and that's when I sold this. So even though I sold it at 200, I netted in more good gains.
That's great. Yeah. So use the MAs too as a guide.
Yeah, I usually use 9 EMA, 20 EMA, then 50 SMA, and 200 SMA.
Right. That makes sense.
And this was IIPR last week. It was a flat top breakout. This was trending all the way up since March, and had it on my watch list. So I knew the price action. So going again before this trade. So I think I posted this on Twitter as well before the breakout, and it was just a simple setup. It broke out about this 92.80 level, and I think it went all the way up to 100, and I had sold almost half of my trade, and the next day it market was down, and it fell all the way back to 90, and I had moved my stop up to 93, so I got stopped out there, and I was unfortunate in that. Yeah, as long as I picking the right stock and maintain my discipline, I'm just happy that it went up and it worked this way.
Yeah, that's always the hardest when you're long. That's the hardest part. What's the hardest about trading, but like especially swing trading, because you can get these, like a nasty red candle like that, and it just makes you want to just get out altogether,
Yeah.
So that's where it's really tough to have the most discipline, I think.
Yeah, that's true. So in this case, I was fine with taking the loss and moving up my stop.
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes too, it's better to play it safe.
Yeah. And this is QQQ. This was also a trend continuation pattern. This trended all the way up since Jan, and in March it found some resistance there near this 172 level, and um, it uh, it pulled back to its 20 MA, and when it was I was using the 15-minute chart, and I think it was a gap down, and it found buyers throughout the day, and they kept buying it, and I bought it sometime in the middle of the day. Um and This was a trend reversal as well as a trend continuation pattern. So what I usually do is I buy that day, and when it gets extended above that 20 MA, you can sell, or when it caps up and goes up without any reason, you can sell on that day.
That makes sense. Yeah. I call it the gift horse trade.
Okay,
Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Just take your profit.
that sounds good.
Yeah.
And this was MDB. This was a symmetrical triangle breakout. And as you can see here, that 145, 148 level was uh, it was a very important level. So in this case, it formed a hammer on this day. It gapped down, and it was brought back up and closed at the highs. So I think I posted this on Twitter as well, to watch for a breakout above 149. And the next day, it opened all right. I think it didn't gap up, so it opened before that entry, about 148, 148.5, and then blasted through that 149 level, and it found buyers all day.
Nice.
So this netted about 30% gains in
Yeah.
just 2 days.
Incredible trade. I remember watching you do it. That was great.
I didn't take it though.
Oh,
I was
that's why.
managing,
It's still a great
watching
setup.
some of the stock, and it just moved up so quickly in the morning. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was watching
Amazing.
something else, and I was not sure about the setup because it gapped up the previous day, and next day I just wasn't sure if it would break out. So and one more setup here is a trend reversal pattern. So as you can see, uh, this was an important level in MDB, that 68 70 level. So it formed a hammer there, and I would usually buy if that next candle goes above the this candle's high. So this was the entry, and stop was at 70. So that was a nice trend reversal pattern. And other one is cup and handle pattern. So you should buy on a breakout of this handle, and the target is. I get questions about how I calculate the target. So it's the basic thing. So you measure the depth of this cup, and above that breakout price, you add that length. So in this case, it was I think 30 points. So if you add 30 points to 63, you'll get 93 target. So those cup and handle patterns, if it's if it's over a long period of time, those are more reliable. So
Hmm.
you can definitely play them. Um, Other one was that gap and go setup, which I showed early. And next one is Shop. I didn't play this, but it's a great example for trend continuation pattern. So you can usually draw trend lines or channel, and play within that channel. So you buy it when it holds that channel, and sell all the way up when it goes to the top of that channel.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is Steam, and it was also a flat top breakout. I took this one and I posted it before the trade as well. So this showed some signs of strength when it. This was a fake breakdown, and it showed some strength the previous day, and it closed at the highs. So that was a good sign to buy. And the next day, I think it went below that price and broke out of it. So that was a good pattern. Other one is a symmetrical triangle with price contraction. So this was on Uber on the 60-minute chart. So as you can see, the price is contracting here uh, before it's breaking out. So you should usually buy when it breaks out above this level and stops below 20 or 50 MA or the recent candles low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Uber's had some pretty good setups on it.
Yeah, so in this case, it was breakout above 41 and stop was below this bullish engulfing candle at 40. And this was WWE. It was a good uptrending stock, and you can usually buy flag breakouts on these stocks or a trend continuation pattern. This was XLF. This was a reversal play. It held gap support here and formed a hammer. So the trade would be when it breaks above this candle. So in this case, it was above that 25, 26 level, and you sell it when it reaches the top of that box.
Nice.
And next one is Zscaler. This was a cup and handle breakout here in early Feb. Unfortunately, I didn't play this, but I have just mapped it on the chart just for reference. And this is one which I'm already in right now. I have half position in this trade. So I bought this on that flag breakout day, about 20 MA, and I sold all the way up at 78 or so for 7% gain. So
Nice.
I still have it, but I have moved my stop up to 75. So these are a few patterns which I usually play and which I like and which have netted good profits for me. And I'll quickly go through the setups which didn't work. I took some time and
Yeah, one thing that really impresses me about your trading is, one, you post, your, P&L, which is great, and but just how consistent you are. But but you limit your losses, right? And you maximize your gains. You have your targets, and you try to reach those targets as much as possible. So you end up profiting more, in the long run, right? So that's always inspirational to see, So and I'm sure the whole FinTwit community appreciates you sharing that. So.
Yeah, thank you. So what I used to do is I used to keep 3 to 5% stops when I started in 2017, 2018. But off late, since past 2-3 months, while I was reviewing my trades, I was finding out that I was giving up more on losing trades. So I tightened up that stop to 2 to 3% now. So nowadays, I just whenever I take a trade, I make sure that I'll just lose 2 or 3% on that.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, you minimize losses and try to maximize your profits or gains.
Simple as
so,
that.
Yeah, it's simple, but you need some discipline to
oh yeah.
follow that. Yeah. So these are the trades that didn't work. I've noted them out in a chart and showed why it didn't work. So this was a breakout retest pattern which I took on Friday on AMD. So we didn't have real confirmation there near that 30 level. So that 30 level was a good spot to buy that breakout. But when it came down, it showed some buyers there on 15-minute and the smaller time frames. So we bought that. It was actually touching 20 EMA. So that was a breakout retest setup, and we were expecting it to go up the next day and find some buyers there, but it didn't. So what I did today morning was I moved up my stop to just limit the loss to 1% when there was no volume confirmation after open. So um, it was a small loss when AMD came down almost about 4% today. And other one was CGC, Canopy Growth.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
This is a tough stock to trade. So it's been watched by many people, and it moves wildly.
Yeah.
So I bought this breakout. It was the price was contracting here, and it actually looked good. But on that day, it broke about this level, that 49 level, and it came down. And I was not quick enough to take the loss there and move on. So I lost about 2 to 3% there. This was a similar one, EA. So what happened is I bought before the breakout in anticipation of a breakout. So that trade didn't work for me. So one thing I've listed down is to not make sure to buy a stock before it breaks out, anticipating that it will break out. So in this case, that trade failed and it came down and it chopped around and I got stopped out. And this was match. This was also an anticipation trade. I was expecting it to break out above this bull flag, but it didn't. And I was slow enough to react, and I think I took this out for break even. Yeah, I think I saw that and it didn't break out, and next day I took it out for break even. So that's one thing I have been improvising. So if it doesn't break out, I'll make sure to take the stop there, take the loss there, and move on. And this was Nvidia. I lost about 14% there this year. So this was this didn't have any pattern as such. Yeah, this didn't have any pattern as such, and I bought this bar and at the high of the day.
A lot of people lost money that day.
Yeah. So lesson learned here is there was no proper pattern here, and
yeah. I guess you call it a bull trap. I mean, I got so many like DMs like from people like that were like, "Oh well, I'm done."
And one thing to note is this Nvidia stock. It was below its 200 MA. So
yeah.
And one of my buy rules is to not buy any stocks which are below its 200 MA.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No,
in that way, you can increase your chances and make sure that you don't lose on these trades.
That was a Trader Vic rule too. He's a old school trader, but that was his thing. He's like, never buy it, never buy it under the 200, never, so never go long under the 200, never go short over it. So
yeah, and other one is a boredom trade. I find out that sometimes if I am not trading anything, I am also not disciplined enough. But this one was a boredom trade, so it had no proper setup. I just bought this bar and I just got chopped around and stopped out. So
yeah.
And next one is Wix. This also had no proper setup, and I got chopped around a lot and got stopped out.
Yeah.
Next one is Disney. This was trending up at the end of last year, and it was almost about a breakout. This was an important level, 119, and I think I bought it at 119, 180, 80 above this bar, and I was stubborn enough to sell it at that level when it made a shooting star candle. So I lost about 5% there. So these were the setups which didn't work for me. Let's see what I have next. And next thing, one thing is to make sure that you need to know which market you're trading in. So if it's a choppy market, you need to take less trades, avoid micromanagement, and stay with relative strength names. In that case, you'll increase your odds of having more winning trades. And in a bullish or trending markets, you should take breakouts and take trend continuation patterns. And in a bearish market, you should normally stay in cash or take quick trades in and outs, and or trade bearish ETFs. You don't need to trade bearish ETFs, but if you're skilled enough, or if you want to trade something, you can trade with bearish ETFs, which I usually do. And during bearish markets, I make sure to monitor relative strength stocks. And when the market reverses and confirms an uptrend, you stay with that relative strength stocks and buy those breakouts. So that NVIDIA trade, right? So this was a trending market in at the beginning of 2019, but NVIDIA didn't show much strength and it didn't move much, and it was above its 200 MA. So I broke my rule and bought it, and I lost some money there. So bearish markets are tricky. So if you stay in cash, you should be good, and it helps to preserve your mental capital. Talked about my favorite patterns, least favorite patterns. Next is the buy rules. I'll just go through them. I've listed it down, and I'll share it on my public stream as well after this session. So my buy rules, which I came up this year, are to avoid stocks which are below 50 or 200 MA, avoid stocks that move wildly. Example, BYND. I
Definitely.
avoided it because it moves wildly. So I never used to find good stops or good risk reward opportunities. So I avoid those kind of stocks. I avoid stocks that are in range. And next buy rule is to create a focus list. So I usually have a focus list. I use TrendSpider or TradingView, and create a focus list of around 5 to 10 stocks. If it's more than 10 stocks, it's not a focus list. So I usually stick to 5 to 10 stocks. And before every trading day, I create price alerts at important levels and on these focus stocks, and monitor them if any price alerts sound. So that's one of my routine. And you should always have a written plan before you take a trade. You should know your stop levels, your target levels, and how much your size is on that trade. And now for swing trading, I usually prefer 15-minute charts and 1-hour charts, as well as daily charts. I try to stay away from 5-minute charts, but sometimes I use them for entries during the open. And those are my sell rules, and those are my buy rules. I'll talk about my sell rules now. So my sell rules are simple. So if the stock moves up more than 2% after your entry, you should sell 1/4. It'll usually help me settle in that trade. and if it goes up more than 5%, I try to sell more than half on that trade. And if it's a good uptrending stock like Roku, you should try to hold it until it breaks down from those 9 or 20 EMA, which are the trending moving averages. And if you have a good gain on a stock once you enter, you should make sure to move stops to break even. Even though there are chances that you might get stopped out. In my case, I got stopped out of higher PR, but it was fine by me because I was disciplined enough to move my stop up and take that break-even trade. So that's one of my sell rules, and also you should never let a good green trade go red. Usually, many people preach this. We learned it from Traders TV. Who has taught it to us. So we should make sure that you never let a green trade go red. And when you're in doubt, you should not track that trade, or you should just get out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are my sell and buy rules.
Oh, that's great. That's really helpful.
Yeah, that's all, John. That's all I had
Awesome.
for this session. If
Oh,
there are
thank
any
you.
questions from anyone, I can take it.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I think that was a great learning session. I know I learned a ton. I've seen a bunch of questions come through, so I'm just gonna kind of run through real quick, see if just kind of I saw some questions, so I'll ask you those. I'm just gonna give everybody a shout out. So the Machine Polonaise, what's going on? Jesse, hello. Call Saul, what's going on? Raphael, how are you? Super 8 Sean, what's going on? So I know, yeah, so it wasn't working in the beginning, sorry, but hopefully we got that figured out. Samir, what's up? Jose, how's it going? Justin, hey, Nudie Poo, what's going on? LMP, yep, sorry for the delay this morning, guys, or when we started, guys. Ayez, what's going on? I know, Jesse, Beyond, unbelievable. Yeah, Beyond is just, I don't know, just beyond tradable for me, but really, really tough with options, but it has been quite the phenomenon, right? Jay, good, we're good. SNDCS, yep, Beyond and FB have been monsters, absolutely. I know in Facebook too, gosh, what a great breakout I tweeted out earlier. Nudie Poo, Paul, we're good. LMP, we're good. SNDC4S, we're good. Raphael, we're good. Calsol, good. Everybody's good. All right, one screen is good. Just realized volume is down. Okay, all right. So Goog, we'll check that out. Cigar. I know I saw some questions here. Lawson SPA's Lawson did well and Diz. Good, man. That's good. I know. Yeah, stocks were ripping today. I know. SPX was a mess. Hey, Sarah. All right, Raphael. All right. So yep, the oscillator 59. Yeah, big Mexi day for tomorrow. Large range day. That'll be great if we can get a large range day. Blurry, hope we got that cleared. Good. OD, how's it going? Richard, what's up? S84 is. Thanks. Yeah, I know. FB and Lulu swings, absolutely. I know. Yeah, that's the one big thing too. Amog is patience. So, what is your how do you master patience? So I know you said you work. So does that help that you're at work where you're not staring at the stock all day, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it helps in one way. When you're at work, you don't look at the charts all day. And what I usually do is I set price alerts on a stock which I'm in. So that makes me not to micromanage my trade. And only when that stock breaks down below that price level, I get an alert. I use TrendSpider or TradingView. So when I get those alerts, I just look at the chart and check if anything's wrong. If not, I don't usually look at that stock itself. So you should know your levels on the stock which you're in, and you should set your price alerts and make sure to not micromanage.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing, switching because I'm more of a day trader. So swing trading, I do swing trading too. And that is the hardest part about swing trading is, trying to micromanage it. So good stuff there. I've got a question here from NetFry. It says, what's your normal trading volume for large cap and small caps? So what kind of, I guess, what
Uh,
kind of volume do you look for?
I don't usually look at an average volume as such. Usually, if it's above 1 million, if it trades above 1 million shares per day, that should be good. Those growth stocks which usually play, those are less than 1 million, but that's fine. As I don't play more shares. I don't usually look at that volume, but I usually stay away from thinly traded stocks.
Understood. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah, that's neat. I don't, because a lot of us, me in particular, are option traders. Some of the stocks that I've seen you trade, don't even have options on them, and that makes it a little, it's tougher for us who are, who trade options. But but it is good to see, right? It is good to be able to see that, also trading the common because it shows the chart patterns and and also demonstrates the discipline. Um, I have one question here from AKMBGD. He said, "Is that entry would be in 15 minutes?" Maybe asking the 15-minute chart, like use the 15-minute chart for entries. And I think you mentioned that.
Yeah, I usually use 15-minute charts. I can show you an example of this Zoom stock which I traded recently. So this was a 15-minute chart which I used to map out the support or resistance levels. So it had support near this 92, 91 level. And when I was watching this 15-minute chart before I took this trade, so it broke down, it formed a hammer there, and it broke above this candle. So that was my cue to get long.
Nice. And so those pullbacks, that you see there, right? How do you handle those? Or you just keep your levels, and then you're not worried about pullbacks so much, right?
Yeah, so once I get in, I set my stop usually below this candle, or just somewhere near 90 in this case. So I set my stop, and I just don't look at it. So I have my price alerts if the stock goes below this level. So if it goes over, I can take a look. But if not, I usually don't check this.
Right. Exactly. Awesome. Pure HK, what's going on? All right. So is this stock trading or options? And if stocks, and I'm pretty sure you just trade stocks, right, Amog?
Yeah.
And so what's the average size of position, he's asking?
Yeah, so I trade with a 60K portfolio. So I have posted this on Twitter as well. So I usually take 5 positions at a time, and in my case, I trade 1/5 of my position on each trade. So I for in my case, it's 12K per trade.
Nice. And that's, we've seen your, anybody who's seen your posts and all that stuff, it just is amazing how it all adds up, it's just great. Jimmy, what's going on? Just want to pop in. Oh, your son was in a terrible wreck. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, man. When you get back into normal soon, be back, and good luck. All right, man. Well, God bless him, man. And, I hope, praying for his recovery. So good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while, so I know you've been through a lot there. So, La Machine Polonaise, how do you find stocks to swing trade?
Yeah, someone asked this question today on Twitter, and I usually don't have any scans as such. And there are few folks on Twitter. I can share the tweet again, like Andrew, Ben, T-Mill Trader, um, Patrick Walker, Traders TV. So all of them share their watch list on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. So I take those watch lists, I study those charts, and put them on my watch list. So as I told, I look for particular patterns which are good trending stocks which are showing relative strength, and it's usually the strongest stocks in the strongest sector at that particular time. So I don't have any scans as such.
Nice. Well, it's great. There's a lot of great resources out there that people post free, so we can definitely use those to our advantage. AKM BGD, can you please show how that trade entry looks like in 15 minutes? I think you just did. I think you just showed that there. So on that. So, do you have any buy the dip or bounce setups? Is a question.
Yeah, so that trend continuation pattern which I showed, John, that's similar to buy the dip trade. So you can take example of shop. It usually works. It works with an uptrending stock. So in this case, it was Sharp, which broke out of this 167 level and kept trending up. So if you're watching and miss that breakout, you can usually take when it dips to that 20 EMA and sell it when it hits that resistance. You can draw trend line as well, channel. And in this case, it would have worked if you bought dips to 20 MA. So it should be a uptrending stock. It should be the strongest stock in that sector, and it should show relative strength during when market is weak.
Nice. Okay, great question. All right, so how do you position based on 1R type scenario or dollar risk per trade?
On all of my positions, I have tightened my stop. So I usually my max loss is 3% or 4%. If it goes beyond that, if for some reason if it gaps down or something, I just take the loss at the open. Yeah, so I try to keep it tight.
Nice. This is a good question. Do you have any short setups?
I do. I think I posted one short setup in Twilio and TTD a few days back, and they didn't work. So I'm not very good at shorting, and as I told, I'm still new at this, and I'm learning every day. So during bearish markets, you should. I usually take bearish ETFs, TZA.
Gotcha. That's smart. Yeah.
And all that.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Or you could do the inverse. You could do an inverse chart.
Yeah.
Let's see, Mr. Bubblehead, sir. Yes, thank you. We have a large range day set for tomorrow. Also, the key Bradley on Wednesday. Nice. Well, good. I should have held my spy then. A lot of people saying I shouldn't have sold FB or Beyond tonight. It's all good, man. Take profit when you can. So that's a good stuff. Danny, hey Amog, you said you were a software engineer. Have you written any software or used any APIs to help with your trading?
No. I would love to.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, no, you should just write an algo to do it for you. It'd be good to go. Just hang out on the beach all the time.
Yeah.
Let the algos do the work. Samir asked the question, why use the EMA versus the SMA? And I think I saw one response by OD earlier that the EMA is faster than the SMA, which is true. It moves a little more sensitive to the stock price. But Amog, why do you use it?
Yeah, that was right, John. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Modern Picasso, hey man, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, good learning session, good stuff. Love your stuff too, Modern Picasso. I've seen good Elliott Wave stuff out there too, so really love that stuff. We'll talk about that later this week for swinging too. Let's see what else we got here. Call Cell asked if you just swing commons. I think if you answered that, yeah, you just trade the stock. 3%. How come you came up with that as a stop? It sounds to me like it's just your risk threshold, but.
Yeah, you'll when you trade more, you'll and according to your style, you'll find out where you should place your stop. So if it's 3 to 5%, it's usually good, so that you will minimize your loss.
Yeah. Do you journal all of your trades with charts added to your journal?
No, I don't do that. I should start doing that so that I can review those charts and make sure that I don't make those mistakes.
Yeah.
But if I just journal with price patterns, that should be fine. It's worked for me, so I might do charts as well later.
I've got a request here about if you could timestamp the buy and sell rules, or oh, that's for me. I can do that, Dante. I can go back and do that. But are you for your rules? Do you have those posted anywhere, like in your blog or on Twitter?
Not yet, John. I'll post them after this session.
That'd be great. Okay, Dante. Yeah, so it looks like he's gonna post those. That's great. Great rules too. What stocks are you watching now? I think mostly, you kind of went over that. You go through the different watches. Is there anything that's on your radar right now?
Yeah, so I just pulled it up. So this was the flat top breakout which I took today, Neo, and
Not to
also
be mistaken
OLED.
with NEO, the electric car company. This is NEO.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Right? You're not talking about NEO, the car company, right? You're talking about NEO, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I think there's a cryptocurrency as well as named as Neo.
Oh, is it? Oh, neat.
Yeah. And this one's on my radar, OLED. This is a cup and handle breakout.
Yeah.
Um,
OLED is on my do not trade list. uh, it's just it's the master of fake outs.
yeah, but off late it's trending well and it's looking good.
Yeah.
I like the contraction pattern. It's flagging here, so it looks good for tomorrow.
Nice.
And I think Etsy is also good. It's testing this
Ooh, Etsy,
symmetrical
that's a top
triangle.
sector.
Yeah, so it formed a hammer here at this on this trend line. So if it breaks above this hammer, that's a cue to get in.
Yeah, that's an
This
IBD top 50 stock, and I think it's the high. If I'm not mistaken, it's the highest weighted stock on the IWM.
Oh, is it okay?
I
Cool.
think so. Yeah, but so yeah, that's a leader. If you can get a good setup in Etsy, that can move. I've got a question for you. This is a great one from Jesse. What's up, bud? What is the most integral part of your system for conviction? And that's a great question. Like, what is it? What is the main thing that build your confidence in a trade and to make conviction in a setup? Is it the setup itself? Is it a combination of things, or is it just discipline? Or
Yeah, it's a combination of things. So if you look at, I'll give an example of run here. Uh, so this was the setup which I was watching today. It This was an important level. This 17. It got sold off here twice. So I was watching the stock and. It was trending up all day, and before it broke out, we got some nice volume there on that breakout level at around 18, 1690. If you look at these volume bars, so if you use them in conjunction with price levels, that will increase your odds of success. So I usually look for volume and it should be a good trending market. Today was an exception because it was a bit choppy and SPI closed at the lows. But this has been a strong sector, solar. So and this stock has been trending up all year. So you should ideally look for stocks which are in the strongest sector and look for volume confirmation during breakout. So that will increase your odds of success and make sure that you sit tight with that trade.
nice, good. NetFry, thank you for your time. AKMVGD, thanks. So on the 15-minute time frame, you would not see the 9 or 20 EMA, and you would just enter based on candlestick patterns. or do you use
Yeah,
EMAs on
yeah.
the?
Basically, I don't pay much attention to those MAs on smaller time frames. So it's just based on price levels and make sure that you get nice volume on that breakout.
Nice. All right, and let's see. We'll try to wrap up here. I know it's getting kind of late, guys. Yeah. So, yep. Compliments to your exit strategy. Works for options. Justin Barr, TrendSpider. Do their trend lines work, and how is the product?
Yeah, TrendSpider is. I've been using it since past 1 to 2 weeks now. So I mostly use it for price alerts, and I think I shared it last week as well. When price hits that MA, um, it's usually helpful for a trend continuation pattern. So and I use it for price alerts. So they're pretty good. They have a lot of backtesting strategies as well as a good charting platform. So yeah, it's getting there. They're still new and they're still making changes, and they take suggestions as well if you have any. So I find it pretty helpful.
Nice.
They have a lot of indicators and trend lines. They have a lot of setups here. So I'm yet to experiment them, but it's pretty good so far.
Nice. One question is, did you say you use Cayman Trader? That you use his alerts or his setups or watch list? Cayman Trader? That sound right? Matt Barnett? No? Yes?
Not sure about them. Sorry.
Okay, gotcha. So, it sounds pretty cool though. The machine Polonais inverse 3 ETF. So yeah, he loves the inverse 3 ETFs. Justin Barr, where can we find your blog?
Um, yeah, I'll share the link. Um, I think I had pinned it, but I removed it. So
Yeah,
I'll
it should be
share
on
the
your
link
tweet.
again. Yeah.
If you send it to me too, I'll put it in the description. If
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
yeah, so I'll put that in the YouTube description too, guys. As well as Trader Moog's Twitter link, and we'll also put up. He'll post the rules too, so that'll be helpful for everybody. So you got a thank you here from Jesse. He likes that you use a combo of price and volume for conviction. You found that method to be best for me, and glad to see it's similar to what you do. So awesome stuff. So. Amog, any last thoughts you want to add before we conclude tonight? I really appreciate you joining in tonight. It's been really educational. I've learned a lot, and it's just great to be able to talk to other traders, who are doing great things, and to kind of just learn and kind of put some pieces together so we can all improve.
Yeah, same here, John. Thanks for doing this. I had a great time, and I find it helpful when there's a good friend in this trading community, and when you can reach out to them if you have any doubts or if you want to learn something new about technical analysis. So yeah, I'm thankful to have those many followers, and I'll try to keep posting good and quality setups.
That's awesome, man. Well, really appreciate you. It's almost 11 o'clock here. I think where you are, it's not as late, so that's a good thing for you. It's not even 8 o'clock yet, so it's early for you. But we got to get some rest here on the East Coast, so we can be rested for trading tomorrow. So, well, really appreciate you tuning in again. Or joining us today and sharing all your thoughts. And thank you so much, Amog. And thank you everybody for tuning in. And appreciate it, everybody. I hope everybody has a great night. And remember your risk first. And stay safe so you can stay in the game. Thank you again, Amog.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, take care. Bye.